I thought I knew everything about scams. I thought I knew the +65 and how scammers usually act. So I went home and I told my family, and then they started saying, "This is a scam. You have been scammed." I didn't believe them. No, it's not a scam. He called me, he was the police.
Why did you decide to be anonymous for this video?
The point of this video is to tell people that anyone can fall prey to scams, and I don't want the focus to be on how I look like. It does no one any good to shame the victims. It's like they're already beaten up and you're just beating them up more. Earlier this year, I received a call from an unknown number. I thought it was just like a normal phone call from maybe the university or like a job offer or something like that. And it led me to someone from the bank. He started reading out a credit card number and he asked me for my full name. "Is this your credit card?" And I said, "No, that's not me." And he said that this credit card is under your name. It actually looks like someone is impersonating you. The line changed to another person. He introduced himself as police station something, and he asked for my IC number, and he had this little radio thing to communicate with someone else saying my IC number. After that, he came back to me and he was like, "Do you know that there is an ongoing investigation under your IC for a money laundering case, and that I am an official suspect in the case?" He kept throwing out the word confidential. And if you tell anyone about this, you're going to be arrested. Thoughts were running through my head. I was panicking a little bit. I was like, what do I do? There is no one here at home. I was just in a place where I wasn't really sure on what to say or how to defend myself. He was like, "We need you to screenshot every single platform where you put your money in, your investments, your CPF, your this and that. Send it to me so that we can see if there's anything suspicious going on." Because I'm still a student, I don't have like such a big sum of money. So I felt like there's no harm in showing because this will just prove that I'm innocent. I screenshot everything and I sent it to him. He said that the evidence presented is actually not enough and we're gonna have to hold you in detention to investigate this further for 60 days. I have university plans, I have to graduate on time. My academics weren't going that well either. If I go to this detention, my life will be ruined. That's when I really started to panic. I told him, "I don't know what's going on. I'm just living my life." That was when my Alexa actually sounded off.
Sorry.
And the so-called police officer on the phone was like, "Who is that? Are you alone? Nobody's supposed to hear about this." So I went to the park. He made sure that there is no one around me. And he said, "What makes you think that you're innocent?" After like 20-30 minutes of that grueling session, he was like, "I believe you." And then that was the moment when I actually felt a little bit of relief. It was like, okay, there is a process in which you can go through to avoid this 60 days detention. He sent me a fake letter saying that we're gonna have to confiscate around 90% of all the money that you have in your bank account. So I have to go to a VTM, withdraw it, and deposit in a ATM. Because it was a large sum of money, we have to send it over to MAS, and then the investigation will last for 2 weeks. I was really confused by all the technicalities and details being thrown at me at that moment. But I didn't care. For me, the bigger problem was getting out of this so-called case. I remember just speeding to that VTM. I just walked so fast. And then I deposited it and I took the receipt. There was this lady who saw me. She tried to say something to me, but I just walked out of there because I was scared that she will talk to me and I'll go to jail for breaching the confidentiality agreement. Even though the entire time he was very particular about I'm not supposed to tell anyone, I couldn't keep it in, something very traumatic had just happened. So I went home and I told my family, and then they started saying, "This is a scam. We have to call the police." I didn't believe them. I was like, "No, it's not a scam. He called me, he was the police." I started crying, I started breaking down. So my family called 999. And so the operator on the phone was like, "Okay, ma'am, you've actually been scammed."
This case is a government official's impersonation scam. what they do typically, right, is that they contact you via unsolicited phone calls. They will tell you that you're in trouble with the authorities. They want you to comply to a certain request. In order to do that, they use whatever social influence techniques they have at their disposal to make themselves sound more convincing. There's a lot of emphasis on authority, trying to isolate her to get her not to tell anybody, so that they can continue to cultivate rapport and trust with them over time until they make the request for them to actually comply. Because we trust our authorities so much, we place a value on them. Some of us may also fear getting into trouble. They will provide fake documents with logos to show that these are some supporting proof. They pitch it as them trying to help you resolve a situation that you have got yourself into. If you don't comply, you may most certainly get into trouble.
Eventually, I did go to the station. I was still reeling from everything that had happened. I thought I knew everything about scams. As much as people online beat themselves up, like, I know I'm really dumb for doing this. And a lot of people in the comments would actually shame them for actually not knowing any better. I like to go online to these platforms and try to rebuke that. I have to support this person who is a victim of this scam. It does no one any good to shame the victims. It's like they're already beaten up and you're just beating them up more.
In the situation where you're interacting with this person who claims that they are police officers, they will not ask you for your personal details, such as your NRIC or even your banking credentials. They will not ask you to transfer money to bank accounts that you do not know who it belongs to, or click on links and download apps outside of official app stores. If you are in doubt, trust your gut feeling, slow down and not rush into making a decision that you are unsure of.
If the scammer says you're not supposed to tell anyone, be defiant against it. When I receive calls now, I am extra cautious. I would check the Scam Shield app on my phone. So there's a setup where there's a suspicious phone call, it will block it, even if there isn't a +65 in front.
The other thing you can do is to actually get yourself plugged into the latest scam trends and be updated with the latest measures. Scammers don't necessarily stick to a static playbook. They make use of the same tools that we use for our daily lives to actually make their scams appear more realistic. So that's why these scams may have that kind of longevity that we've been seeing over the last few years.